But the person who bought that could not sell, because you're not allowed to sell food until you've taken delivery of it. You can't do that. So, in other words, this also regulates our personal and private debts. But the cause of the revelation was this commercial thing. So there are two aspects to that. One is advance payment, and then the other is credit. So one, you pay the money, and you get at a later point you get the goods. The other is where you get the goods and you pay at a later point. Now, in Niall Ferguson, in his documentary and his book called The Ascent of Money, he's a very, he kind of exalts in capitalism. It's a celebration of the merits of capitalism. He's a, if you want to know what the enemy's thinking about, read Niall Ferguson. But it's also provocative and interesting, because he's a chapter where he says the thing about capitalism was this great thing was it opened up the doors of credit. You see, and here we find in this book the Muslims had a mode of handling debt and credit. We were having conversations on the way here and in our time together. The companions had phenomenal debts, phenomenal amounts of money, tens and hundreds and thousands and millions. But they had assets. They were not bankrupt. If somebody doesn't have assets to cover his debts, then he's a bankrupt. He's a muflis, which is also a muflis is said to be somebody who's only got flus. But they were equipped. The Muslims were equipped to handle debt and credit. And from this, I take it that what is our alternative to the bank? What is our alternative to the bank? What is it? We had the conversation. You should remember. You've been trained to be technical, you see. In my view, our bank is our community. Our bank is our community, both on a private level and on a commercial level. It's all of that interlinking of funds and debts and for commercial purposes and personal purposes. If you read, for my own interest, I translated it. It's the hadith of the death of Zubair and his son winding up his estate. And it's in all the collections, but there's a wonderful version in Bukhari. And he left a phenomenal amount of debt. And Abdullah ibn Zubair took 4 years to wind up the estate. But when he did it, the 4 wives of Zubair took 1 million dirhams each. And the estate was 55 million dirhams. The estate was 55 million dirhams. And there's statistic after statistic of the kinds of debts and money they were dealing with. The community is the bank, in my view. And then we have instruments like Wadiya and all of these things. And Qirad, all of these things come in. So that in essence was what I wanted to say. That concludes the whole period of revelation, these 2 ayats. But it is said that the last ayat to be revealed was وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. Have fear of a day in which you will be returned to Allah. Have fear of the day in which you will be returned to Allah. More general meaning. So may Allah make this knowledge of the Deen meaningful to us, and by the meaning of it, make it something that makes the world intelligible to us. That we're not living in a cocoon, but we understand the way the world is working, and we understand our place and how we obey Allah. And may Allah make that process sweet and rewarding for every one of us, and nourishing, and make it a light that will draw others around us into the Deen of Islam. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.